So as you're solving these inequalities, just today, don't forget that if you divide or multiply by a negative, you must switch the direction of the inequality sign. That's incredibly important. So we're going to go on and do a couple examples. So we're going to go ahead and solve this. So we have 3x is less than 24, and we want to solve this for x, which means we want x's on one side and everything else on the other. So remember, if a number is in front of a letter, they are multiplied. So to get rid of something that's multiplied, we do the opposite of that, which is to divide. So our 3's are going to cancel, and x is less than 8. So on our number line, we're going to put three numbers. We always put 7, 8, and 9. So we put whatever the answer was in the middle. So 8 goes here in the middle, and we put one number below it and one number above it. Recall our signs. If it's a less than or a greater than, we're going to use an open circle. If it's a less than or equal to or a greater than or equal to, we're going to use a solid filled in circle. So in this case, our circle needs to be open. And then we have to draw our line. So we want things, our x's to be less than 8. Well, things that are less than 8 are going to be to the left. If you're not sure which direction to put your arrow, then figure out, would 7 work here? Would 7 be less than 8? Or would 9 be less than 8? And if you're still you don't understand the difference in less than and greater than, think about the alligator. The alligator always wants to eat the bigger number, so which of these is true? Well, the one that's true is this one, so our arrow needed to go to the left. So I have negative x over 4 is greater than 5. So I'm going to put 5 over 1 to kind of help me out. So I have two fractions now. And again, I'm trying to get x's by themselves and everything else on the other side. So we're going to go ahead and cross multiply. So we're going to do 1 times negative x, which is negative x. And we're going to do negative 4, times 5, which is 20. We're going to keep our sign the same, so it's still going to be that greater than sign in there. So now the only thing is I don't have x completely alone because there's really a negative 1 here. So to get rid of that, I'm going to divide everything by negative 1. So I end up with x on one side and 20 on the other. But since I divided by a negative because this number down here was negative, that is where our red flag comes into play. So I'm going to draw my little red flag so I don't forget. So because I divided by a negative, I'm going to flip the direction of the inequality sign. So it's no longer greater than, it's now going to be a less than. So when I graph this, I'm going to put 20 in the middle, and below that is 19, above that is 21. Because my symbol was just less than, not equal to, it is going to be open. And because I want things that are less, I want 20 to be the biggest, I need to go to the left. And remember, as long as x is on the left side, whatever this is pointing, whatever direction is pointing, is the way you're going to draw your line. Our last one, we have negative 2x is greater than or equal to 32. So I'm going to draw my line. I want my x's on one side and everything else on the other. So to get x by itself, I'm going to divide both sides by a negative 2. And the reason I divide is because that negative 2 was multiplied originally. So negative 2 over negative 2 cancels. I get x and negative 16. Remember, I divided by a negative, so my red flag comes up. So that means I need to flip my inequality sign. So instead of being greater than or equal to, it's now going to be a less than or equal to. So I'm going to go ahead and put negative 16 on my number line. Remember, we're working with negatives, so negative 17 is going to be on the left, and negative 15 is going to be on the right. And we want this time, because there was this equal to here, that tells us our circle is going to be completely filled in. And then again, just like the other problems, I wanted things that were less than, so I need to move to the left. So our final problem is x over 4 is greater than 3 over 2. So I'm going to go ahead and draw my line. I'm going to label my sides as x's and everything else. Again, if I have fractions, the easiest thing to do is to cross multiply. When I cross multiply, I multiply the bottom times the top. X times 2 is 2x. And I multiply again the bottom times the top. 4 times 3 is 12. And my sign's going to stay the same because nothing I multiplied by was negative. So now to get x completely alone, I need to get rid of the 2 that's multiplied by x. So I'm going to divide both sides by 2. And I end up with x is greater than or equal to 6. So on my number line, I'm going to have 6. And then I'm going to put 5 on the other side and 7 on the other. Because my symbol was equal to, that tells me it's going to be solid. And because it was a greater than, that means I'm going to shade to the right. All right, and just to refresh, if you have a greater than or a less than, so not equal to, your circle is going to be open. If you have a greater than or equal to, or a less than or equal to, your circle is going to be a filled in circle. It's going to be solid. And more often than not, as long as x is on the left side, again, as long as x is on the left, so if it's x over here, then for greater thans, we're going to shade to the right. And that's easy to tell because that's what direction this is pointing here. And then for our less thans, we will shade to the left. And we'll draw our lines to the left. Again, that's what direction our inequality signs are pointing.